dignitaries on the dais, and this wonderful audience this evening. Namaskara to one and all. The members of the Tapasya Foundation, a big namaskara to all of you and your entire team. Namaskara is the Anjali Mudra in yoga. And when we bring our hands together in this fashion, with the tips of our hands, we raise the level of receptivity within us. We raise the level of joy within us. We also raise the level of focus and awareness within us. This is the profound secret of the traditional Indian Namaskara. And I don't know how many of you really noticed, but even the Italian Prime Minister, what's her name? Somebody said it, yes. Giorgia Meloni, yeah? She also used the Namaskara in her recent world meet. That was an interesting and refreshing thing to note. So on the auspicious note of Namaskara, I'm going to try and bring a smile on your faces this evening, lift the spirits, and give you some real life inspiring stories related to the subject on hand, which may probably change your perspective towards life forever, which may probably change the way you think about life forever. So let me begin by expressing my profound gratitude to the distinguished members of Tapasya, N.V. Shetty in particular, for taking the initiative to invite me this evening and share my thoughts on this very wonderful occasion, which I think will be a path-breaking movement in the years to come. And we are committed to this movement. We are committed to the idea behind this movement. So my first humorous story for the evening, hopefully it will bring a smile on your face. There was a speaker who was addressing a large gathering in the West. He had an audience of about 1,000, 2,000 people in front of him. And he was speaking like me on subjects pertaining to the science of spirituality. So in our education system and in our training system and in every other system that we have in the world, they teach you about IQ, intelligence quotient. They teach you about PQ, physical quotient. They teach you about EQ, emotional quotient a little bit, not the entire distance. But they never teach you about SQ, which is the most important quotient, and that is your spiritual quotient. So this speaker was addressing this aspect of spiritual quotient, and suddenly a very curious gentleman in the audience raised his hand. He wanted to ask a question. And when the speaker paused, the gentleman from the audience who raised his hand, he asked the question. He said, "Sir, I've been listening to you for 1 hour, and I think after listening to you very carefully, I think you're an atheist." All of us know atheist is somebody who does not believe in God. So he told him, "I think you're an atheist." The speaker responded by telling him, "I was an atheist until I realized I'm God. I was an atheist until I realized I am God." Now the gentleman from the audience got very angry. He named all the gods he was praying to. And he said, "Sir, so you are suggesting that we should stop praying to all these gods that we are praying to, and you are the living, talking, walking God in front of us, so we should actually be praying to you. This is what you're indirectly suggesting." The speaker again responded by telling the gentleman, "There is a divinity within every human being. There is a divinity within every human being. There is a divinity within me. I never deny the divinity of any human being, and I never deny myself my own divinity. So this evening, I'm going to appeal to the divinity within each one of you on the dais and in the audience." Yeah? So on that auspicious note, we'll begin. I'm going to give you some information which may be radical in nature, which may be transformative in nature, pertaining to cancer. So let me begin with the study of Dr. Bruce Lipton. Dr. Bruce Lipton was a cell biologist. Now this information may change your life forever when it comes to prevention of diseases at large, including cancer. Dr. Bruce Lipton did a very interesting experiment. He took cells from the same source means genetically from the same source, they all have the same DNA, and he split them into 3 distinct sets. He put them in 3 distinct bowls. In every bowl, there was a liquid, a different liquid in each bowl. In one bowl, when he put the cells, after some time, that cells became fat. In another bowl, the same cells became muscle. In a third bowl, the same cells became bone. What was different in each bowl? The nature of the medium, the nature of the liquid. What we call the culture medium in scientific and medical terms. Now, here is a path-breaking information that you all can use. We all have cancer cells inside our body. In fact, I may not be surprised if we have more than 10 types of cancer within our body. Every human being has it. But here is the key information when it comes to prevention of diseases at large and when it also comes to prevention of cancer. The activity of the cell depends on the environment which you provide the cell. The activity of the cell depends on the environment which you provide the cell. And who is providing the environment? Who is providing the environment? You. How? Largely, one major factor is your mind. The more serious you become in life, the hospital is close by. Yeah? Serious people go to hospital very often. Life is all about play. Even if you refer to Lord Krishna, forget Baba Vivek Shetty, keep him aside. But even if you read about Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, whenever Lord Krishna was written about, they wrote Krishna Leela. Leela means play. They never wrote Krishna Charita. Charita in Sanskrit means story. So the first thing is, if your mind is stressed, you are creating the wrong environment for your cells. And the trouble with our system again is, education system, training system, any kind of system anywhere in the world. I do consciousness modules. I have some highly qualified people with a long list of degrees in my training modules who are participants in our modules. All due respects to them, I'm not running anybody down. I'm saying it's a systemic problem, it's not an individual problem. What is the systemic problem? In large audiences, when I've gone to the most reputed educational institutions, the topmost universities, the topmost management I've addressed from top corporate companies and multinationals, one fundamental question usually goes unanswered. And what is that question? That question is, what is the difference between brain and mind? Nobody teaches you what is mind. So how are you going to determine what is the environment that your mind is providing to your cell? So the education system, the training system does not teach you what is mind. I am studying nuclear physics. Who is the I? Are you body? Are you mind? Who are you? I am studying rocket science. Who is the I? And every experience in your life is relative to the I. And from birth till death, from the womb to the tomb, you don't know what's the mind. Every decision is taken by the mind, but we don't know what is the mind. Today I'm going to give you one insight into mind, and you will probably remember this for the rest of your life, the way I choose to convey it to you. There are bulbs here. The bulb is the hardware. Bulb is not light, light is not bulb. Bulb is hardware, light is an example or a metaphor for mind. So similarly, you have your laptop, which is the hardware, you have softwares. Unless you have the right softwares, the most high-end laptop that you may buy at a fancy price is useless. So mind determines the environment you create for your body. For example, right now I'm in this function, many speakers have spoken, and I may get a little restless. When is my turn coming? When is my turn coming? When the hell will this guy stop? When do I go finish my job and go home? Oops. I've become restless. What's happening? Stress has gone up. I'm frowning. If you look at our generation today, it's a restless generation. We have invested lakhs of rupees in our business, lakhs of rupees in our education to become restless. And don't forget, we consider ourselves the most brilliant species on the planet. Human beings are the most brilliant. And I'll give you an example of this brilliance. Yeah? तो हिंदी में वो गजल है, सीने में जलन आंखों में तूफान सा क्यों है, सीने में जलन आंखों में तूफान सा क्यों है, इस शहर में हर शख्स परेशान सा क्यों है. The minister is restless when he goes to bed at night. The CEO is restless when he goes to bed at night. The sanitation worker and the toilet cleaner is also restless when he goes to bed at night. It has got nothing to do with money, power and position. It has got nothing whatsoever to do with money, power and position. We have invested lakhs of rupees in our training to become restless. It's a restless generation. Yeah? So my first clue is, take charge of your mind for prevention of diseases. 80% of the diseases that people suffer from today are psychosomatic in nature. Disease produced by the mind for the body. Disease by the people, for the people, of the people. It's not just democracy by the people, for the people, of the people. It is also disease by the people, for the people, of the people. Yeah? So the first clue is mind. The second inspiring story that I'm going to give you this evening, and hopefully it'll inspire you. I don't know how many of you all have heard of Ramana Maharishi. You've heard of Ramana Maharishi. Great. Dr. Ganpati, your name itself has spiritual quotient. No surprises that you heard of Ramana Maharishi. So Ramana Maharishi was a saint. And if you Google Ramana Maharishi as I'm speaking to you, you'll get everything about him. He died of cancer. But there was one remarkable aspect about Ramana Maharishi. When Ramana Maharishi was in stage 4, and the final stage as we call it, doctors were visiting Ramana Maharishi and they were surprised. Unlike other patients, this man always had a smile on his face. Always smiling. He took the doctors completely by surprise. So, one curious doctor asked Ramana Maharishi, "Sir, what is it about you? You have no pain? I'm sure you have pain. But why are you always smiling?" Ramana Maharishi gave a very profound reply, which was actually the message of his life. Ramana Maharishi said, "I have stopped believing in body consciousness long back. I know I am not body. Since 40 years, 45 years, I have stopped believing I am body. When I know I am not body, my attention is never towards my body. My focus is never towards my body. What you focus on is where your attention goes." Now, this brings us to the ancient Indian science. Ramana Maharishi didn't say this, but I'm connecting this to the secrets of Indian yoga and Indian science. What is that secret? There is a science in Indian yoga called Pratyahara. Pratyahara means You practice withdrawing your external sensory organs from the world. So a simple way of doing this in the morning could be, you could sit in silence for 15 minutes with your mobile phones switched off, because that is the biggest noise maker these days in our lives, yeah? And without the mobile phone, probably, we'll again become restless. So in my training modules, you all may be surprised. I have CEOs in my training modules. You know what is the toughest thing for CEOs to do? They have a very sharp mind. Calculations like this, predictions like this, analysis like this, all other things like this, like this, like this, like this, like this. But if I tell them, gentlemen, please sit quietly for 10 minutes, that is tough. Relaxing is tough, because they've been fidgeting all day around. This, that, like this, like this. They're going on and on and on and on. This phone, that meeting, that conference, this calculation, this presentation. Oh my God. And we think we are doing something fantastic. Economic activity has destroyed 50% of the planet. But human beings think they are doing something fantastic. This is the tragedy of the comedy. In 3,000 years, we've fought approximately 4,500 wars. Lessons learned, 0. Even today, the most advanced nations in the world are largely in 2 stages. Look around the world around you, and you realize they're in 2 stages. Either preparing for war or at war. Either preparing for war or at war. And don't forget, we consider ourselves the most brilliant species on the planet. That you have to remember. So, Ramana Maharishi's secret was, he had forsaken body consciousness long ago. In yoga, we train people to do this. And today, not Vivek Shetty or Baba Vivek Shetty, Nobel laureates in physics and science are telling you this. You just have to do a Google search and you'll get it as I'm speaking. If I take a powerful instrument and look at you, inside the atom there are protons, neutrons and electrons, but 99.999999% of the space inside the atom is empty. Which means, in school, we have been taught that body has got form, body has got shape, body is opaque. In reality, the exact opposite is the truth. If they take a powerful scientific instrument and look at you, body is transparent, formless, luminous. So body consciousness, so you have to first realize, do one research today. This is the most important question on the planet, beyond cancer. What is that research? Who am I? Who am I? Am I body? Because the root cause of all suffering, of all the people in the world put together is only one: lack of awareness. Lack of awareness. And until you understand the I, no matter what your degree is, you may be from IIT, you may be from Harvard, no matter what your bank balance, you may own thousands of crores, you can keep adding more zeros to your balance sheet, you can have fancy bungalows, fancy limousines, no matter what your relationship status, the universe will keep you restless until you understand the I. The last story, then I'm going to conclude. I don't know how much time we have on our hand, but I'm going to conclude. I guess there are many other speakers who are waiting, and I hope, I thank you for the patience for bearing with me. Ramana Maharishi's story was, you are not body. So once, imagine a stage 4 cancer patient with the awareness that I am not body. That person will be a completely relaxed person. In fact, I'll reserve that topic for another day. If you come to our space, there is even nothing called death. There is nothing called death. If you remove ice from the fridge, in some time it will become water. Can I say ice is dead? If I put the water in a container and I heat it up, it will become vapor in some time. Can I say water is dead? The vapor in some time will merge with the elements of the atmosphere. So can I say the vapor is dead? No. Energy is never lost. There is only transformation of energy. But your limited sensory organs cannot detect the subtle aspects of life. You are only detecting the gross aspects of life. So when cancer eventually, reflects in your body, it is the extreme gross aspect. The entire universe is a journey from subtle, subtler, subtlest, gross, grosser, grossest. Once you realize this, now imagine for a moment, just imagine, I'm thinking there is nothing called death. What happens? I become fearless. I become fearless in a certain sense. If everybody is worried about death and old age after some time, and you know what that means in practical terms? You're driving a vehicle with one pedal always on the brake, so you're half alive. You're not full accelerator, you're not full throttle, you have one foot on the brake all that time, and that foot is fear. That foot is fear. And our education system, our training system, gives us a lot of wrong information. To get into these subjects, I had to first de-learn everything that I had learned. I had to empty the garbage bin. I'll give you one simple example for those of you who think I'm talking something which may be really difficult to digest or absorb. In the education system, they have taught us body is noun. Am I right? Anybody here? Am I right? If you Google right now, body is noun, Google. But I'll tell you, body is constantly changing. What your body was 5 years ago, what it will be 5 years from now is changing. In fact, the change does not even stop for a nanosecond. Something which is always changing never ceases even for a nanosecond. If we take a powerful scientific instrument and look at you, your face has changed in a nanosecond. So many things have changed within you, but your naked eye cannot detect it. So body is a verb. And when you are taught in school that body is a noun, it is what we call in our subjects naive realism. Naive realism. What you think is real is not real, and what you think is not real is actually real. And the root cause of all suffering lies here. So I'm going to end with a story of Thich Quang Do. Tongue twisting name, don't try to understand the name. He was a Vietnamese monk. This Vietnamese monk, this is a true life story. You can Google this. 1963, in the year 1963 in Vietnam. So since we are talking of stage 4 cancer and palliative care when it comes to that stage, this is very closely related to extreme pain. So at that time, the government in Vietnam was harassing religious minorities, and these Buddhist monks were a very peace-loving lot. They just used to do meditation, teach yoga, and promote good in the society at large. One fine day, the chief monk, the gentleman whom I just named, he said, I'm going to stage a form of protest on the streets of Vietnam that the world has never seen. Because I want to end this religious persecution that we are going through in Vietnam in the year 1963 for nothing. And I want to draw the attention of the world that we are being harassed by the government for no reason. So he did a unique protest. What was that protest? This is available on Google. You can search your information and dig it out. He sat in front of the Parliament House on the street. He told his students, when I sit on the street, in precisely 10 minutes, I'll get into the meditation zone. You have to burn me alive. You have to burn me alive. The students were in tears. They said, sir, we've studied under you for 25 years and you are now telling us, burn me alive? He said, I am your guru. Don't ask any questions, just do it. And for 25 years I've told you are not body. Then what the hell have you learned? Why are you going through so much tragedy when you're just burning my body? Burn it. So the students with a heavy heart had to follow the orders of the guru. So this monk sat on the street in front of Parliament House to protest against the government of Vietnam in the year 1963. And in precisely 10 minutes, once he got into meditation, the students set him on fire. Now this was the remarkable part of the story. Please pay careful attention. When the monk was burning, he did not do a ooh, ah, ouch, no screaming, no yelling, no running. In the same lotus pose, Padmasana we call it in yoga. In the same pose of Padmasana, he was sitting like that and he burned till the end. He burned till the end. When he was finally fully burnt, his body was fully burnt. There were press cameras there, thousands of people on the street watching. The people on the streets were shouting and screaming. The monk was silent. He didn't raise one small whimper. Now, finally when his body got burnt, his heart still did not get burnt. His body fell down after it got burnt. And his heart is still preserved in a museum in Vietnam. It is called the symbol of love. Even till date it is there. Now what is the remarkable part of this story? Why didn't he scream? So in stage 4 cancer, we have extreme pain, right? We go through a lot of things and it becomes difficult. Why didn't this man scream? This man had practiced pratyahara. Let me explain this to you scientifically. Suppose if I pinch you here, where do you experience the pain? Where? Here, right? In reality, there are nerve fibers here that once I pinch you here, they send messages to your brain. The brain is the receiving instrument of the mind. It gets the signals. The mind then takes a judgment call and says, this is pain. This is how it operates. So the pain experience is actually in the mind, though you think it is here. Now when they give you anesthesia, doctors are here, what do? They actually break the connection between your nerve fibers and the brain. So when you are going through a surgery and you have been given anesthesia, even if I cut you wide open till that time period when the effect of the anesthesia is on, you experience no pain. These monks had the capacity and the power, and many Indian monks have also done this. It is not just about a Vietnamese monk. Many Indian monks have done this, had the capacity and the power to give self-anesthesia by withdrawing their sensory organs from the world. So they self-anesthetize themselves. This is not something which happens overnight. It takes what we call in yoga, years of sadhana. But I want Tapasya Foundation and the team members, Naveen Anna in particular, please focus on the mind aspect and explore the possibilities there. The greatest tragedy of human existence on the planet is we are clueless about the mind. We know the iPhone, we don't know the eye. We are spending more money in taking care of the head, hair rather than the head. That is the age and era we are living in. So mind is very important. Mind can transform your life forever. And the second thing is energy management. I don't know how many of you all know, you have trillions of cells within your body. At the rate of 1.7 volts per cell, God forbid if there is a power failure in this room as I am speaking, you have enough energy to light up the room. But where are energy management courses? This was all part of ancient India. This is not rocket science that I am talking about. In ancient India, we had all this wisdom, we had all this knowledge. I'll end with a quote of a German anthropologist, Hans-Peter Durr. Hans-Peter Durr was a German anthropologist who got every award of his time. I'm talking of major scientific awards. And he made a telling statement. I'll conclude with that. And that statement was, I spent 55 years of my life researching on matter. I spent 55 years of my life researching on matter only to find out there is nothing called matter. Only to find out that there is nothing called matter. And Adi Shankaracharya said this 1000 years ago. Adi Shankaracharya said this 1000 years ago. So Hans-Peter Durr says, he's a German, he's a Catholic, he's not a Hindu. Yeah? He says, whenever I'm speaking on quantum physics and quantum mechanics, I think I'm speaking about Adi Shankaracharya. I think I'm speaking about Adi Shankaracharya. I'll conclude, and before I conclude, I'll just change the vibration within this room. I'll give you an experience of consciousness, because only when our consciousness expands, we'll find real solutions to life. Are you ready for a 30-second, 1-minute experience with me? Live experiment. 30 seconds to 1 minute. Distinguished dignitaries, you all are ready. I've not taken too much of your time. Okay. So, I'm going to keep the mic down for a minute. I want you to rub your hands like this. All of you all, if you can, rub as hard as you can without hurting yourself. Keep rubbing. Keep rubbing. Keep rubbing. Keep rubbing. Keep rubbing. Smile on your face. Smile on your face. Keep rubbing. Keep rubbing. Now, gently bring your hands apart. Gently. Very gently bring it apart. Can you feel the space between your two hands? What happened is, I expanded your consciousness just this bit so that you can feel the space within your two hands. That space within your two hands is not a part of your body, but temporarily you feel like it's a part of you. So this is called expanding consciousness. If my consciousness expands as big as this room, then there is no need for the Tapasya Foundation to do so much effort. What the other person is feeling as a cancer patient, I can feel within me. This is also the highest form of intelligence, which in ancient India was called peak intelligence, or the path to direct knowledge without gurus, without books, without internet, because it's very simple and scientific. If I can feel the space in the entire room as part of my consciousness, I know what is happening with each one of you. How many of you all are wondering when this guy is going to stop? How many of you all are wondering? How many of you all are wondering? Maybe some people on stage. And how many of you all are wondering, this is something radical, this is different. So let's get a sense of this, let's get a hang of this. Yeah? And I want you to think for 30 seconds about the moment when you fell in love. All of you all have fallen in love in life? Yes. No, lovingly arranged. Yeah. So, if you change the vibration now to the moment when you fell in love, your entire perspective towards life starts changing. Just experience that vibration, experience that moment. Drop your ego, drop all the head weight, drop everything else that is there, and you'll realize this is by far the most powerful and the loving, healing emotion. Thank you so much for listening to me. I've taken a lot of your time this evening. And once again, I express my gratitude to NBN and all the distinguished dignitaries on the dais for bearing with me so patiently during this address. Thank you so much.